This diagram maps out the divine jurisdiction claimed by Baal, the Canaanite god of storms. Ancient Israelites were hedging their bets, worshipping Yahweh while also relying on Baal for rain, thunder, and agricultural fertility. Without warning or backstory, a man steps directly out of obscurity and into the throne room of King Ahab to confront this divided loyalty. The Bible introduces him with a single verse. His Hebrew name, Eliyyahu, is built from two roots, El, meaning God, and Yah for Yahweh. Translated, it means, "My God is Yahweh." That name operates as a direct declaration of war against Baal worship. His very first act is to shut down the sky. He tells the king there will be no dew or rain until he gives the word. For 3.5 years, the heavens remain completely silent. The drought specifically targets the elemental forces Baal's followers claimed he controlled, exposing the idol's total inability to produce a single drop of water. While the nation starves, God sends Elijah to hide by the brook Kerith. There, he is fed meat and bread by ravens, birds explicitly categorized as unclean under the law of Moses. God sustains his prophet using the most unlikely carriers. When the brook dries up, Elijah is sent deep into Phoenician territory, the heart of enemy land. He intercepts a destitute widow in the city of Zarephath, who is gathering sticks to prepare one final meal for herself and her son. This chart illustrates the daily provision experienced after Elijah asks her to trust God with her last resources. Instead of an overflowing surplus, we see a flat, unbroken baseline of sufficiency. Her jar of flour and jug of oil never run dry. Sometime later, the widow's son falls severely ill and stops breathing. Elijah carries the boy to an upper room, stretches himself over the child, and prays. The boy revives, marking the first recorded resurrection in biblical history. God establishes absolute authority over life and provision in a hidden room for a woman society had entirely discarded, long before proving himself to a massive national audience. 3.5 years into the drought, Elijah summons the uncommitted nation to Mount Carmel. He forces them to finally make a choice between Yahweh and Baal. The test is simple: 2 altars, 2 sacrifices. The God who answers by fire is the true God. The 450 prophets of Baal spend hours screaming, dancing, and slashing themselves with knives, but the sky yields zero response. Elijah steps up to a rebuilt covenant altar. To eliminate any possibility of a hidden spark, he orders the wood and the sacrifice to be soaked with water 3 separate times, filling a trench around the base. He offers a single, simple prayer. Instantly, fire falls from the sky and consumes the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and licks up every drop of water in the trench. The terrified Israelites fall to ground, shouting, "Yahweh Hu Ha Elohim," the Lord, He is God. Following this confession, Elijah prays 7 times, persisting until his servant spots a single cloud the size of a man's hand. Heavy rain finally breaks the long drought. In their shock on the mountain, the people had unknowingly shouted the prophet's own name. His identity, "My God is Yahweh," was the exact answer to the nation's crisis. The aftermath of this massive public victory is a severe emotional crash. After receiving a death threat from Ahab's wife, Jezebel, Elijah runs into the wilderness, sits under a tree, and begs God to take his life. God answers the despairing prophet with surprising gentleness. There is no lecture on faith and no harsh rebuke. An angel simply provides him with a hot meal and lets him sleep. Elijah travels 40 days to Mount Horeb and shelters in a cave. When God's presence passes by, it is entirely absent from the violent wind, the shattering earthquake, and the blazing fire. Instead, God arrives through what the Hebrew text calls kol demama daka, a voice of thin silence, or a still small whisper. The deity who commands mountaintop fire is the same deity who ministers to pure exhaustion in the complete silence of a cave. Years later, Elijah reaches his final earthly moments, walking alongside his successor, Elisha, at the edge of the Jordan River. He takes his mantle, rolls it up, and strikes the water. The river parts, allowing the 2 men to cross on dry ground, echoing the ancient miracles of Moses and Joshua. On the other side, a chariot of fire pulled by horses of flame separates them, and Elijah is taken up into heaven by a whirlwind. The prophet who once sat under a desert tree praying for his own death becomes the man who never experiences death at all. From a devastating drought and an unending jar of flour to a resurrected child, a soaked altar consumed by fire, and a parted river, every single event in this campaign served one unified purpose. They relentlessly answered the exact question posed by his name. My God is